What's up, YouTube? It's the Hi-Fi Brothers.
And today we're going to talk about the Emotiva XT2s and the XC2 speakers. Let's see if they can compete with other known brands.
Let's do this. Well, welcome to today's episode, everybody.
Yeah.
Got a pretty exciting one for our viewers out there. If you've been following us for a long time, we've done a lot of Emotiva reviews, and
absolutely,
we've done their amplifiers. Used to own a lot of their amplifiers, Ralph.
That's right.
And then what are the other products that we did?
We had the ERC CD player, and also the SC Flex subwoofer we did.
That's right, a little 8-inch subwoofer.
That's right.
That was a while ago. Yeah, I mean, we've never known Emotiva to be a speaker brand, right? I think they're primarily known for their digital processors, their amplifiers.
Yep.
But yeah, they dabble into the home theater speaker package.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah, so we'll get right into the review. What we'll do is we'll talk about, the first impressions of these speakers when we unbox them, what we overall think about them, build quality, aesthetics, specs, and then we'll get into the meat of the review, Ralph.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
First impressions. Let's get into the build quality. Why don't you go ahead and tell our viewers what you thought?
Oh, well, actually, the build quality, really good. The aesthetics on them, they have like a veneer finish, and they're pretty solid speaker. They're made with an MDF baffle and all that stuff, and speakers look really nice. Looking at the woofers, Armando, they're actually, there's 3 woofers in them. They're pretty good. They're nice looking. They're made with fiber cones, and yeah, they're pretty solid speakers. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of the other speakers that we've done reviews for, I would say that they're not the most aesthetically pleasing. They just look like a basic, just like your basic towers, right? Just that classic black finish. When the grills are on, they don't look too bad, actually. I actually prefer them with the grills on as opposed to the grills off. That's kind of my overall impression. I think the folded ribbon tweeter is definitely something different than what we've actually done reviews for other speakers. All right, Ralph, well, let's go ahead and get into the tech specs.
Awesome, let's do it.
Awesome, Ralph. That was pretty good tech specs, but let's get into the actual review, and we're going to get right into the sound quality. So we've actually have had these products for a while, and just a little disclaimer, Emotiva did send us these speakers to us. They basically reached out and they said, hey, we'd like for you to review these speakers. And we do understand for those of you that probably have seen these have been out for a while now. They've been out for almost about a year, and there's already other reviews out there. So we want to bring something a little different to the table, and we'll get into what that is in a minute. But what did you think of these guys?
I honestly would say that these actually kind of impressed me. Like I said, the mid-range to the tweeter and the bass, believe it or not. I can't believe the amount of bass that came out of these things. I think it's because where you had them in your room kind of made it stand out a lot. And in the center channel, man, that thing was accurate. It had so much crispness to the sound and everything. It was pretty impressive. What are your thoughts on these?
When we were listening or watching movies, I was like, man, I do miss a traditional home theater system. Coming from just a typical sound bar and a pretty good decent one, right? For those of you that follow our channel, you kind of already know where we're coming from. If you're new to the channel, I do dabble into Sonos products a lot. But yeah, going from just the Beam Gen 2 to a dedicated center channel and 2 towers on each side. Right. I was like, whoa, what a huge difference in sound quality, right? And I missed that. Like just a lot of that power that comes through, right?
Yeah.
And just for those of you, I do want to let you know, I did have this hooked up to an older receiver. It's a Sony STR DN1040, came out in 2013. But it's no slouch. I mean, it's a 7.2 receiver. Yep. It actually has a lot of power, 165 watts per channel.
It's pretty good.
It'll go from 6 to 16 ohms. And another call out too is the towers are definitely, Emotiva does definitely recommend that you have at least 100 watts per channel driving these. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I had a receiver that did 165, I feel like it was ample enough power. Even at very low volume, like I was at maybe 10 out of 50, and we were still getting a pretty good sound out of it. But if you really wanted to boost it to get like that really loud umph, we had to crank it actually quite a bit, like more than halfway.
Yeah, like about, well, if on the receiver it was like 50 was the max, so you had it on 35.
Yeah.
Which is pretty loud. I mean, that's almost reference level.
And some people might get nervous if they're cranking their receiver, 2/3 of the way up. I thought they sounded fantastic. A lot of bass.
Yeah, a lot of bass.
The other thing I wanted to mention too, Ralph, and I'm going to say it, is the center channel. Like you said, you were very impressed with the clarity of the dialogue and just the sounds that were coming out of that. I would definitely agree. If I had to crown one of these components, it would definitely say, I would definitely crown the center channel. Man, the sound that came out of that thing, holy smokes. Crystal clear dialogue, a lot of action that was going on in the scene, and you could still hear everything pretty clear.
Absolutely.
So Emotiva, I would say, did a fantastic job with the center channel.
Well, that's pretty cool stuff, bro. I mean, you've had these speakers longer than I have. I mean, I've only listened to these in your house. You said to me that you've placed them in different areas. I want to know what you actually did and what your experiences when you put those in your different rooms.
And this is where I was getting to with, we try to do something different than some reviews that are already out there about these speakers since they've been out for almost a year, right? Yeah. So what we did is, or what I did was, we had the speakers initially configured in my general, gaming room, I would call it. Now, the speakers, they're so close together. They're like 6, maybe 7 at best, feet apart. I would say that you normally wouldn't want your towers that close to your TV or that close to each other like that, because you're just going to get a lot of reverb and you're just going to get a lot of sound echoing and distortion. And that's kind of why I think we got a lot of bass too, right? So what I decided to do is I decided to take everything out and hook it up into my traditional TV room, which is a much bigger space. It's like double the size. So you can see here, I have the towers spaced apart at about 12 feet, and you're getting that spatial audio from that too, like just a wider soundstage. But, at first what I did was I hooked it up to the receiver and the TV and just wanted to do a 2.0 stereo configuration sound back.
Cool.
I just wanted to see what it sounded like without the center channel. Towers definitely delivered with just the amount of sound that was coming out.
That's awesome.
But I will notate that the bass was a way different experience. I was getting bass, but it wasn't that huge umph like it was in the smaller room. When I put it out in the bigger room, that was the first thing I thought of as, man, I could definitely get more if I got a sub. So that is one difference between room sizes. When I hooked up the center channel, again, man, the center channel stood out to me as the crown jewel of the setup. Point. And oftentimes it would actually overpower the towers.
Wow.
Like in high action scenes. Wow. So getting a lot of juice out of that center channel. But I wanted to test these guys out and give it a fair review in different setups, because if you're just testing it in a very small room, I would say for the most part, you would get a lot of bass.
Yes.
Even out of a smaller speaker, even bookshelves that we've done.
Exactly.
Crammed in this little space, we got a lot of bass. But then once you put it out in a bigger room where you're going to have a lot more of like a traditional home theater setup, that's where you start to notice differences in sound. So that's why it's just good to test things out and see how they are. But that's been my experience overall, Ralph.
That is awesome. That's really good.
All right, Ralph, that's pretty awesome, man. I know I talked a lot, but let's get into some final thoughts.
Absolutely.
And I think what we'll do is just get into the pros and cons of these speakers.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah, so pros on these the tower speakers, like I said, the aesthetics look pretty fair to me. They're not the best, but they're okay. The bass drivers, the amount of bass drivers that I have on them, They're really, really good. Now these ones, you know, their price point is really good too. They're $1,500, you know, for a pair, which is pretty outstanding.
Yeah, that's a very competitive price.
That is a very, very competitive price. I mean, for what they can do for $1,500 versus other $1,500 speakers, I think they're, you know, they kind of like fall into that category or even better, to be honest. Other than that, you know, they're pretty good. Now for the cons with these, the ribbon tweeter, or I should say the AMT tweeter, is not as deliverable and powerful as the Martin Logans. Now Martin Logan has their motion tweeter, which is the same thing as an AMT. Their tweeter is a little bit more precise. These ones, they've gotten a lot better since previous generation. Now, the other con that I have with these speakers, bro, is that it's a 4-ohm speaker. So you need a lot of power to power these, you know, even though they're rated at 100 watts. That's why you weren't hearing them very well. So that's why I'm like, okay, maybe if you add a power amplifier, at least 200 watts to these, I think you'd be fine. What are your pros and cons of those?
Well, immediately, let's just get into the con, right? The con is they're still a 4-ohm speaker, right? So yeah, you're gonna need a receiver that can push these. But like you said, I think you're gonna benefit more if you have more power than that, and that's often gonna equate to getting an external amplifier. Problem with that is it might put you out of your budget, but that could be a good thing because that means you still have potential. Center channel, $599. For the size of this thing, that's an awesome deal.
That is a good deal.
Like, I'm being very serious. We've done a lot of center channels from Arendal to SVS, and I would say that for $599, this is definitely the best deal on a speaker from a brand outside those ones that we've done before.
I can agree.
I think if you're a person on a budget and you are shopping around and you're looking at these versus other brands like Klipsch, Polk, that are out there, I would definitely give these a thought. I think they're priced competitively. I mean, buying a pair of towers for $1,500 and then a humongous center channel for $600, you know, you can get a pretty awesome front stage setup for about $2,000. But if you're an Emotiva lover and you like their products and like what they've done, you can go with these, or maybe you can wait for the XT3s when we do the review on that one. But that's going to be a future video.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification button.
And as always,
keep it hi-fi.